Hello guys, welcome back today. Today I want to be talking about one of my favorite players in the Texas Stars roster right now, one of my favorite prospects for the Dallas Stars right now. His name is Dickinson. Now he plays center for the Texas Stars, pretty much a stacked depth position for the Dallas Stars, so he doesn't get much playing time in the AHL. Because of that, if he was like a winger or a defenseman, he would probably get more playing time, but because he's a center, he's kind of downpiled by lots of guys in the AHL, and a couple of guys in the AHL right now. He's 6'2", so he is a pretty big boy, and he is 29th overall by the Dallas Stars in 2013, just barely getting the first round. So my thoughts on him, it's going to be fairly straightforward. I haven't seen a lot of him just because there isn't a lot of highlights out there, and there isn't a lot of just common knowledge around here. He's kind of gone underrated the past couple of years. In 7 games in the NHL this season, he has 0 points, but he has played decent. In the games that he has played, I haven't noticed him that much, but I have noticed him defensively. Defensively, I've noticed him a lot more than offensively. Offensively, I haven't really seen him all that much. He isn't great getting in the offensive zone, at least not yet in the NHL, but defensively, you do tend to notice him. Now, in 27 games in the AHL, he has 14 goals and 18 points, so he's getting a goal almost every other game. And he's played fantastic in the AHL. One of the best presence guys in the AHL. In the AHL, it's not quite the same. He has to transition, and he really hasn't done that quite yet to the NHL. The AHL, though, he's lighting it up. But if he can turn that into some positive things and put that into the NHL, keep working on it, and keep getting better. He's only 22 years old, and he still has room to grow here. He's only picked 4 years ago, so he still has room to grow, and he could be an NHL next season. It just depends on how well he does, of course, this season, but he definitely couldn't get the chance next season, and I hope he continues to do so and do well in that chance. And with a Corsi for of 45.6% on the season with 7 games, it's not too great, and the Corsi is definitely not on his side. But I think after he gets better and better, he's only getting like 9 minutes per game. It's not that great. It's not getting the ice time that he really needs to become a guy. But it could be worse on ice time. So he still needs to get his opportunities going. He's had quite a few chances I've seen when he was in games, and he just needs to get those chances and actually score on them. Yeah, I think he had like 3 goals last season, something like that. And he just needs to realize that potential and get on with it. And the Corsi for will, of course, go up. He isn't that player that I think will be that bad in advanced stats, but you never really know. But I think that he will become a great player, but he just needs to just secure that talent and then get on a good NHL run. That's really what it is. And honestly, I think he's one of the more underrated defensive prospects in the league. He is really sound, really defensively solid on the defense end. Especially in the AHL, he has been pretty impressive on that side, and he has played good in that prospect in that area. And I've seen lots of people comment on that, and I've seen it a couple of times in the highlights. He's done pretty decent. He is an impact player on defense, and when in the NHL, when I was seeing him, he was pretty great defensively. Now, he isn't afraid to throw the body either, even though he does throw the body quite a lot. He still is pretty fast. He is a decently fast player. He still is able to get around on his skates, so that's decent. He isn't completely slow, which is great. The size definitely helps him. Physical, he's still pretty good on that side, and for the skating, he's not bad at all. So he can do a lot of things, and if he just realizes some potential and get it together, he could be a great all-around player, and he could really be a great, really great role player for the Stars in that maybe third line, maybe even second line if he really starts to get that first-round potential. But if he gets like a second line forward, that's completely great for the Stars if he's able to be that kind of player. But I think he'll be a third line guy. I think that's what he will become, because he just has the skill set to become a guy who will check guys and be able to give some energy to the game, and that's really what you need sometimes. Now, he's able to find lots of loose pucks in front, and a lot of the goals that I have seen, he's able to either use his body to get around goals, kind of like a Riley Tufte, and he's able to get some loose pucks in the slot. He's able to find a lot of pucks, loose pucks. He's able to get some good vision in there. He has pretty nice vision, and of course he has a great shot. I've seen it a couple times. He's made some highlight reel shots, and that's what it really takes to be drafted in the first round, but sometimes he can just unleash it, and that's definitely scary. Now, for the ceiling, I already discussed it before, but a top 6 forward, a decent top 6 guy, I think is his ceiling. I don't think he'll be a first-line guy. I just don't see it, even though It always could happen. I think that the realistic answer is that he'll be a third liner, but I think his ceiling will be a top 6 guy. Now, for comparisons, this is a pretty hard one since Jason Dickinson has lots of key areas in his game that he is pretty good at. So you have to have a guy who's great in almost all facets of the game, and you have to have a guy who is pretty underrated in that standpoint. So I went with 2 guys here. I'm going to go with Craig Smith on Nashville, a guy who I've seen quite a little bit of. He's fast, he can explode off the rush, and of course he has a great shot, and he's been playing fantastic this season. And he's really broken out this season and played great, and he continues to do so this season. And he's also pretty decent in the defensive zone. Not quite a guy that's physically capable, but with the other facets of the game, I think that is a good comparison there at least. And the other one, I'm going to say Brian Little. He is pretty dang underrated. Fantastic player. Now, I don't think that he'll become a Brian Little per se, but just a little bit of a downgraded version of kind of like a, not really a poor man's Brian Little, but kind of like a cheaper Brian Little. Brian Little has a great sense of awareness with the puck, and as a Dull Surface fan, you see quite a bit of Winnipeg in the games that he has played. He's been pretty dang good. And physically, he's fantastic. Brian Little always can bring it that way, and defensively, he's one of the better centers in the game. So I think that the Brian Little comparison is a good one. I don't think he'll reach the potential of Brian Little, but he has a skill set necessary that's kind of relatively like Brian Little. That's going on today, guys. Guys, enjoy it. Make sure to like. If you guys really enjoy it, make sure to subscribe. Tell me why I'm wrong about my opinion down below, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.